Hello everyone, welcome back to JCfinger. This is a speed build for my current running series on the channel called Lendi Empire. If you haven't watched any of the episodes, then of course it's a great thing because you can start from the beginning and come up to episode 6, which is soon to air, really soon. And this is why this speed build is happening right now because as you recognize, it's in Forgotten Hollow, I think it's called. It's the vampire world, and a couple of scenes are going to take a turn for the worst, unfortunately. So I've had to share with you my creative process for one of the builds that will feature in episode 6 and possibly a few other episodes, but it's going to be a house that tends to reappear ever so often. So of course, now you're beginning to wonder who lives here, who gets hurt, and you've got all these questions, but save them for the comments down below and I'll see if you're close enough. So whatever you think is going on in the series that has warranted a build in this grim part of town, then put down what you think might be the reason or what the connection might be, and I would signal as to whether you are close enough or not, okay? So this build is a little bit like a tower. It's a Victorian style type of build, obviously. Now this pack came out in Sims 4 a good while ago, sometime last year, and I didn't rush out to build anything because I just didn't feel inspired at the time. However, because of what's happening in the series, I think we're having episode 6 due to air. Because of what's happening in the series, we've found ourselves in this part of town, and it's quite interesting, so do stay tuned and make sure you tune in. I think one of the best ways to get an immediate notification that an upload has come through on this channel is to make sure that even though you've subscribed, you have to click on the notification bell on the channel. And what happens is, obviously, once I upload something and it goes live, then of course you get a notification on your phone or any device that it is that is compatible with the notification system. That way you'll be able to quickly, in time, watch what's happened. At this stage in the build, I wanted to choose the perfect exterior wall for this house, but I really began to struggle. I loved the roof. I was very, very pleased with the roof. I was actually quite shocked how it turned out because I paid more attention to the body of it. And then when I got to the top of the build, I thought, okay, here we go. Here comes the drama. But it worked out. And I know you might have realized that there are 2 kind of pinnacles at the top of that tower part, but don't worry, I get to fix it off in the end and you'll have a good view of how that turned out. But anyway, I eventually went back to the shiny blue brick exterior that I had chosen first instead of the white. I think that what happens is when I start building, neutral colors set the stage for me and I'm more comfortable that way, and then as soon as I'm done, I start paying attention to certain details. So I just go for the whites and the blacks and I make sure that everything is has sort of got a coating that does not disrupt me in any way, or distracts me from carrying on with the build. And that's why I've gone for this shade on the outside. So, it just became more comfortable for me to carry on with the build or get on with it. But later on, as I say, I go back to the blue, which was quite lovely. It just glimmers in the night. So here I decide to get the foundation nice and black, and just then I almost gave away the name of the sim that lives here, or at least the surname, and that would have completely given it away. Anyway, you know what? If I had said something, I would have edited it out completely. But I cannot say anything about who lives here, their character. I mean, of course, a vampire lives in this house. There's no 2 ways about it. But I think that you would be way off if you try to guess what the connection is with this house to the series that's up and running. But I'm curious. I'd love to see what you think. So yeah, now I'm just deciding to again splash around a neutral color. But what's funny is I end up with this tile option throughout the house. Well, not exactly throughout. The bedrooms have carpets, but I end up using these marble tiles because they look expensive, they look nice, it's an expensive mansion, and of course the red walls are deep blood wine. So this hallway was a very favorite part of mine because of the shape of it. I think it's very elegant, it's beautiful, and yeah, the only thing is when it came to screenshots, it was quite complicated to get a good screenshot of that entry hallway, but there are photographs for every other part of the house. This is the top part of the house where we have a twin bedroom, and I think we have an attic at the top. There is also a basement, but you don't get to see the basement speed build in this video, but you will see it in the screenshots, simply because I didn't want the speed build to be extended past 30 minutes. I could have gone up to 32, 33 minutes, and that would have been fine because the basement was not, you know, an extensive build. But I felt that in the actual episode you'd have a very good view of the basement, and that would be fine. But I thought that it'd be nice to share the decorating process of the entire mansion instead, you know, focusing on that. So yes, of course, one of the things I realized with the vampire pack is that most of the items coordinate quite nicely, which is lovely. That fireplace is brilliant in this space against the wallpaper option. But I will point out that the thing with speed builds and then recording them and putting them out there is that you make these choices and you make them in front of viewers. Well, it's not live obviously, but you build it in the speed build and people are watching once you upload it. But later on, you know, your creative juices slow down and warmer choices are made, and you think, actually on the spur of the moment I thought this would work out fine, but later on you think to yourself, I'd prefer this or I'd prefer that. So everything is where it is in the actual build that you would download from the Sims 4 gallery, but certain colors have been changed. For instance, the shades of some of the curtains have been changed over to a different shade, but not a different curtain. The seats in the living room completely changed. I think I went for a green. So eventually, after I had calmed down and I was no longer under the pressure of the knowledge that I was recording myself, I made different choices, but everything is certainly in its place. The difference is that colors were changed. Everything is just the way I want it to be, but colors were changed. Did I say that before? Oh dear. You know, I really love speed build videos and live build videos for Sims Freeplay because I'm a lot more laid back and I can just speak freely as if, you know, I'm at home talking to my husband or my friends or something like that. I don't have to feel like I'm in front of a news desk. That is so strange. Now this block here is an office and it has a door that is locked, you know, so the vampire that lives here has a lot of secrets and hides a lot of things and, you know, passes off as a normal person, which in reality when you're playing the game you see the plumb bob above their heads and you can tell that they're a vampire. But anyway, it's all about locked chambers and hidden corners and unusual spaces, right? So that's the study for the vampire that lives in this house. Now you will realize I didn't say whether it was a male or whether it was a female. But the most important thing is, you know, a vampire lives in this house, and that's the office. Eventually I made the study have half walls, so the walls came down to the level of those bookshelves, right? So these are some of the changes that I told you about. Now we move on to the kitchen, and again, as I said before, I tend to set down colors that are neutral because then I can just get on with it. I think that one of the problems with that though is that I might, in the end, when changing colors, not like the swatches available. I might have to start all over again. But that didn't happen in this case. I was certain I wanted these units simply because of the glass addition to the cabinets above. I really like that, you know, not just wood everywhere. And I was certain that I was going to be fine with whatever swatches or whatever options for swatches were available to me. It was just going to work because the walls anyway were neutral in here. And the vampire doesn't even cook, you know. But obviously if they have guests, they would somehow, I don't know, hire a cook to prepare meals for the guests, but they don't cook. So at first I thought to myself, I'm just going to leave it grey, and I do go on to put in the vampire scratches on the walls, splatters, cracks, cobwebs, and, you know, insects. I do put them all around, and that of course I didn't do during the live build. That would have been too much to insert into the build, unless I had maybe a 50-minute video or something, because, you know, you can speed up. But I took my time. I wanted to put the cracks in specific places. I just didn't want to splash them around. I wanted a spider in a particular corner, and I wanted it to turn its head a certain way. Yes, I do become incredibly particular, and it slows me down, and it's awful. I tell you the truth, it's awful. So, you know, I just have to say I was happy to put down everything in recording this way, but it was quite nice to turn off the recording button and then, you know, sink right in and make slower choices that I was completely satisfied with. You know, it's funny because there are times that I would be building in a particular section, say for instance this bar area that I'm on right now, and I would build it up and then I'll just look at it. You know, I'll just sit there and look at it. How do you record that? It'll just be a pause. I've seen that in some speed builds. I see the pause. I think maybe they went away to get a cup of water or something, but in my case, because I'm aware of what's going on, I just feel like I just can't record this. People are thinking, what is she doing there? And I'll just look at it. I just spend another I think 5 minutes is a long time. A whole minute, and I'll just tweak the screen here and there and keep looking at it. And then I get into the mode where I'm like, oh, that's really lovely, and just keep staring at it. I don't speed up. But the good thing about doing speed builds right now for me is that it makes me get on with it, and I like that. And it's obviously tiding me over from becoming too particular about where everything would go, and just to trust the decision and move on along. Now, going back to the subject of the series that is the reason for the speed build, Agnes obviously has encountered a nasty situation where she was informed, right, that Nuba was with some lady, and she shows up at the yacht, and, you know, he leaps up out of the bed and she gives him a slap, and she tears away out into her car and, you know, goes back home. And then they have the scene during the Christmas at her house. Now, what do you think could possibly be his explanation for what happened? Do you think you have a clue as to how he could explain that away? And you might realize that when he had a confrontation with her son in the Austrian house, he said it's a huge misunderstanding. Can any of you say what you think the misunderstanding might be? I think it's going to be quite interesting what you would see unfold in the next episode, and I do promise it will be out very shortly, because I think I'm practically done. I just have Sims Free Play to do. I shuffle between the two, and I have a few editing bits and bobs to do on the episode before it airs. And then of course I thought I'd push this one out as well, because I have two passions with this channel: the building and the storytelling. So obviously I just can't create the series and not share with you some of the buildings, because every single build I use in the series I do myself. So I thought it would be nice to share with you some of the builds through speed build videos, and talk a little bit more, give you a bit more background as to what's going on, and then of course have the Let's Play series air when it does, and then you have an understanding, a little bit more of an understanding as to what's going on. And I think that's nice, and of course it allows us to interact between different episodes. I thought it would be a good idea to do it this way, so you will see more of the speed builds for different scenes. As long as there's going to be a new building that would show in any of the scenes for the series, I will definitely have done a speed build for it. And it makes me think back now, I built this beautiful spa. I could have recorded the process. I have built a few other buildings that I didn't record the process for, but at least now I'm going to be doing that, because I think during that time, as we go through the speed build, I can, discuss the episodes in between and go through your comments and even get ideas from you as to what you think is happening or what you think shouldn't be happening. Because this is important. It's important to have your input in any way possible. So I've gone up to the master bedrooms here. There are 2 main master rooms. Again, it's a mansion, so almost every room in this house is a master. There are 2 masters up here, and then we have a twin bedroom at the top. But I decide to use these lovely wall hangings inside of the bed, because I just don't like the bland wood. It was weird to me. It just, you can put something in there and give the bed a little bit more character, and that's what I chose to do in the bed there. And then I put a similar wall hanging across the way on the wall, and I think that was quite nice. And then automatically the color scheme then came in through from that. And I decided to follow that scheme through. Now that rug definitely becomes bigger. I felt it was too small in the end, but you don't see that during the speed build. It's later on when you see the screenshots that you'd realize that it's a bigger rug in the space. So I go down and up, because I pick at different items from downstairs and then come up and place them instead of scrolling through the list. Since I know that particular object is already in the house, I'll just go find it, place it, and then choose a different color for it. Another thing I realized, you would notice now that the walls are half walls. No, they're not half walls. I mean, they're short. There are 3 levels of walls, 3 room heights, if that makes sense. And I'm at the shortest height on this floor. It just automatically does that. And so later on, I go on to increase the room height for the 2nd and 3rd floor and the tower, because some of the curtains just wouldn't fit right, and so on, and it just didn't work for me. I needed it to have a little bit more height. So I create some seats. They're ottomans, but I attach a seat to them and just create my own kind of upholstered furniture in the space, and I thought that was cool. And one of the reasons why I had to do that is because the rooms were quite large. I didn't want them to be small anyway, and this is something I always emphasize, that mansions have big spaces. They're not crammed in. You don't walk through and have the walls kissing you on either side. There's a lot of space, and that's one of the things that you will notice in this house. And this is the closet for master bedroom number 2. Love the purple against that wallpaper. And then I create my own unit here in the closet space, and I thought that was quite nice. The whole build it yourself thing is something that I'm really interested in. It's something that I pay a lot of attention to. I like creating things. It's okay to take something and then set it down, but sometimes I want something else, and I just like the idea of building something up. And that reminds me, one of my favorite stores is IKEA. You pick up something and then you build it yourself. You follow the instructions and you put it together. And when you look at it, you think, well, I put that together. Well, really, did you? Someone really worked hard for that and just said, here's what you do. Oh, dear. So I'm going back and forth between the different rooms because, again, some of the items are similar. So I thought, why not, do that at the same time. And then I started trying to figure out what rug to put down there, but in the end, I think a black rug sits there, and I don't think you see that on camera, but there is a black rug that sits there. Then we go through to the master bathrooms. It looks quite large and empty right now, but don't worry, the screenshots will prove that it's been filled. And ultimately you get the finished product when you download it from the Sims 4 gallery. For those of you who don't have Sims 4, and I didn't have Sims 4 for a long time because you had to buy it and upload it to, download it to a PC, an actual computer that's stationary, not a mobile device. And that did put me off for a while because I like doing stuff on the go. I have to be out and about, so I can only do these speed builds. And Let's Play series when I'm sat down, I have dedicated time to it. So you'll find that the series don't come out ever so often, but I do spend my time to make sure that each episode is detailed and hopefully worth your time. So yes, I didn't have Sims 4 for a while, but I had seen so many players online who have Sims 4 and share their speed builds and share the stories, and man, it's just so nice. And one day I couldn't take it anymore. I just got in the car, went over to Smith's Toys and purchased a copy for myself. And voila, here we go. And I started building. How long have I had Sims 4 for? I think I've had it for about a year. And I think in the first few months I just played and researched all the cheats and practiced, because of course it's a new thing, so you have no idea what you're doing. But I think the first thing that ticked for me was creating a sim. It was like playing with live dolls, and that was phenomenal. Listen, we never grow up. Everyone's a child at heart, and that is the truth. Anyone who doesn't say so is lying. But honestly, I just thought, oh my god, I'm playing with live dolls, and it's fantastic. Different shades, different ethnicities, different clothes and things, and oh my god, it was amazing. So I just got really engrossed in the whole thing for such a long time before I thought, okay, it's about time you make use of this. And then I had already created the Sims. I started playing with them. The idea of the story came through, and finally I got the series up and running. So for those of you who don't have Sims 4, at least you get to see the speed builds, you get to watch the series, and at the end you get to have good screenshots. I'm hoping that they're good enough so you can have a look at what's taken place in this house as far as decorating goes. And yeah, but for those of you who do have Sims 4, then you get to download the house and just take your time in there with a sim or two and just have fun in it. So if you don't have it, it's okay. I didn't have it for such a long time, but when I decided that I really wanted it, I went for it. Now what we have at the top here is the twin room, and this is the point where I realized that the room height was just not high enough, because I went to put up some curtains and they just wouldn't fit. So I cut the video from that point on, and then because I had to start stretching out the whole house, I mean like clay, right? I went out, I pulled the building as high as I can, each floor had to go up, I had to increase the heights of the rooms and then arrange the windows and bring everything back up again. So I had cut, and then I carried on and had done some work on the outside, and then realized, okay, you've got to get back to recording. And then I did. And you will notice in the next few seconds that all of a sudden the walls are high enough. But I think I try to place some curtains first before that happens, because that's the point where I thought, it's the wrong height. And that point is now. So yes, this is where I had cut off, and then I'd come back in. By the time I'd come back in, I had done a bit of work here and there around the house and changed a few things here and there, so the screenshots would finalize it for you, so don't worry. So yes, this room looks like a girl's room, but don't be fooled. Yeah, it's that color. It is specific, yes, but it's really scary what this room is situated here for, and you will get to understand that in the next episode. So I'm going up and down now and fixing a few things, because now the rooms are higher. So I'm raising up the wall art and changing the archways, and you work your way back because things have changed, and that plant in the end does not even stay there. But I spent my time trying to figure out how to place a plant in the corner. So yes, this room has a scary reason for its existence, and you'll see that in episode 6. And the other thing is, I have a basement, as mentioned before, and obviously that's where I keep the actual bedroom for the vampire. Now this attic here is just intentionally in place because I wanted the house to have a particular shape, but then it has a use because obviously now we have an attic, and I put some items in there that also tell a story of what goes on in this house. But this bedroom could totally pass for a girl's room if you download it. Maybe some twins could live in that room. But now I go on to do the bathrooms, and I don't completely show the interior design process in the speed build, because it just took me a while to figure out how I wanted it to look, and I didn't really think that they're the most important parts of the house. But then I now go outside and start to completely cover up the exterior in the blue original choice. Right after I had sorted out these curtains. But yes, I think that it being white was a bit too cold in the scenery that it was situated in, so I thought the blue is cold as well, but it just was a bit warmer. I felt it was better to go for that option. And you can see that I had already done some landscaping, bare landscaping, with some dry rose bushes and a bit of soiling work at the base there, and so on. And then I think, this is where I now completely changed the color of the kitchen. I warmed it up for a gold touch, and I think that was nice. The gold was quite lovely, and I was glad I didn't have to completely take down the kitchen units and use something else. This worked brilliantly for me. Now I think this is the part where I show you what I had done to the roof. So I sort of used those rooftop bits and bobs to clip that double pinnacle together, and I like that very much. It worked out, and here are some screenshots for you. So this is a back part seating area behind the kitchen. This is the entrance to the living room. You see the study door up front, and this is an angle in the living room where you can see the chairs are now green. This is a different angle from, I think, one of the statues. And then this is the dining room. The curtains are now pale grey or blue. This is the bar, which is quite lovely, slightly changed. This is the kitchen, which is hardly ever used. And this is the guest bathroom downstairs before the basement. But when you go upstairs, this is the landing. And we have 2 master bedrooms up here. This is the first master bedroom. And this is the angle for the closet. And further through leads to the bathroom. This is one angle of the bathroom. And we have the flip side of it, where you can see the toilet unit. And then we have master bedroom number 2. I love the colors in here. It's warmer. And this is the flip side of it. A few changes have been made. This is its bathroom, and this is the flip side of it. And then we have the room upstairs that we just came from. And this is the flip side of it as well. You can see some cobwebs are in place, and there's a massive spider. This is its bathroom, and then we have the attic with a few bits and bobs here and there. And this is the other angle in the attic. And then we have the basement, which is a complete ensuite for the owner of this entire mansion. Isn't that interesting? Well, I think we have one more screenshot for the nighttime view. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.